Alright, Shalom Akim was a high spirit wind Judah of the GMS Mississippi camp, giving our honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bahashem Habashai Bahashem Kudash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings as well as health and wellness to the house of David the elect. Alright, today I want to go into a live stream, alright, well not a live stream, a lesson, alright, entitled, Is This the Man? Alright, and the reason why I'm doing this lesson because at camp I was thinking about something, all right, pertaining to the ministry, all right, when we were teaching, all right, all right, who we know as the so-called white man, all right, he had a certain beacon of light during the time of his rulership, all right, he had a certain beacon of light during the time of his rulership, all right, he had now, okay, all right, when he came into power, started with Christopher Columbus, all right, 1492, all right, which was not a spin-off, but a continuation of the Renaissance period, which came from the Renaissance period, which Renaissance mean rebirth. It was the rebirth of the Roman Empire. So that same energy, the same energy of the Roman Empire, the same type of government of the Roman Empire, the same mindset, the same culture. All right, it was resurrected. All right, which there was that beast being healed. All right, that wounded beast coming. Right. So, long story short, Esau came into power, and he put up his son, all right, Pope Alexander VI of Rome put up his son, Cesare Borgia, as the so-called Messiah, man. Not the so-called, he put up his son as the Messiah, all right? So with those things coming into play, all right, and the whole earth being under the rulership of European colonization, the whole earth being under the dominance of European colonization, all right, subjugated to the mindset of European colonization. In other words, the way the white man does it is superior, all right? So you have 500 years of that. You have 500 years of France, Spain, and England basically running the world, man, all right? Now you have NATO, the EU, okay? And what that has produced, all right, is a sense of pride and a sense of hubris to the point where you think that you'll never be taken out of rulership. All right, but just like, all right, the Egyptians, ancient Egypt, all right, mentioned in the book of Rome, how the Most High set up Egypt just to show his power, all right, on the planet Earth. All right, just like the ancient Babylonians, all right, that golden head on that statue, just like the Persians and the Medes, and we cannot go back in time and understand the greatness of the Persian Empire. But the Persian Empire was the largest empire on earth. I think it had 120 plus provinces, man. Meaning that it dominated 120 provinces on the planet Earth. All right? So the majority of the known world was dominated by the Persian Empire, man. All right? But you can't fathom the greatness, all right, and that prestige and that power and that majesty that was under those Persian kings, man. All right, to the point where you couldn't fathom that those kingdoms will ever end. All right, you couldn't fathom that. You couldn't fathom that Babylon would ever be taken, man. All right, but now you can go into the book of Maccabees and you can see how the Persian Empire was taken. It's written in history. Well, America's gonna be another empire that's written in history. America's gonna be another empire, all right, another kingdom, all right, that's gonna be in the history books. And this is going to be a picture of the United States being a dark desert, man. Because that's the culmination and that's the result of this prideful empire, man. All right? It's going to result in America being destroyed. And I'm bringing this lesson out because Esau Edom is no different than any other empire. As a matter of fact, he's the inferior nation. As it says in Daniel 4:17, the Most High put up the basis of men into power, man. So Esau Edom is the basis of men. This is the Most High showing his power. The fact that he put a primitive fugitive into power, a base man who couldn't even formulate a language. How do I know? Because our forefather Job tell us that he brayed by the nettles. And the reason why he brayed by the nettles, meaning he made a sound that was similar to a horse, because his nation at that time could not form a language. They were too brute to form a language. And they were rejected upon men because they had a very base nature. By base, I mean pedophile, a strange, perverted, all right, sinister nature. They would have sex with animals, They would have sex with relatives, all right? They would have sex with sons and daughters, and that was second nature to them. So they were pushed away by the dark civilized nations, man. They were pushed into those mountains, hence the Caucasus Mountains, man. And that's a history that Esau Edom is ashamed of, man. That's like Oprah. That's like you're a rich person and you're ashamed to tell that you came from the projects, man. Okay? So the Mosai took that caveman and put him into power. Not only did he put him into power, he put him over us. But that's the Most High showing his power. It has nothing to do with Esau Edom. That's why it says in Deuteronomy that it was I that basically put Israel into captivity. That's why it says in Isaiah 46, I have given you my possession. All right? That's Yahweh talking to you, old base man, old proud man. All right? But just like the ancient Egyptians, all right? Just like the ancient Assyrians, all right? Just like the Babylonians, all right? Just like the Persians, just like the Medes, all right? Speaking of Medes, where's Japhet now? All right? You had this movie called, I think it was called Eagle, and they showed one of the Roman generals penetrating Europe, and that was basically dominating Japhet, man. All right? Japhet is on a damn island resort called Hawaii. Japhet was once a power in itself. Japhet was once civilized in itself. Now Japhet is known as the Aboriginals of Australia. All right? The Most High can give any nation that beacon of light, and he could take it from them. That's why I have Isaiah 14, all right, and 16 saying, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Watch the movie Planet of the Apes, the 1968, hell, the 2011 with Mark Wahlberg, and also the later versions, man. And I think it was the 2011, I could be wrong, where the gorilla was in the room, and the austere gorilla was basically, very, austere towards that caveman Esau Edom, right? And he pointed to this glass dome, and he said, break it. And then he was showing that other gorilla, because I think the other gorilla was a pacifist, right? So he broke the glass dome, and he showed them a gun. And he said, with this, they ruled us, man. That was symbolic for that caveman, that base man Esau Edom was able to come back into power by way of that gun, man. All right? You saw that with the movie The Last Samurai. Esau Edom had that Gatling gun. Okay? All right? That is one small example. He was able to penetrate these dark nations, all right, because they still had swords, bows, and arrows. He came over there with those rifles, man. All right? Hey, watch that movie Kingsman, that last one. All right? Not King's Men, but King's Man. It's that prequel. But it shows you that Esau knows that he came from very dark ancestors, man. Very evil ancestors, man. All right? Which ancestors basically are your predecessors, your forefathers. Okay? All right? But the point is, man, all right? Esau has his little beacon of light, which that light is getting dim now. But any nation can have that. All right? Like I said, going back to the ancient Egyptians, you couldn't fathom that the Egyptian empire would ever fall. That was a joke, man. You probably get killed saying some stuff like that. You couldn't fathom that ancient Egypt would ever be ruins. That people would go around the world to tour dead pharaohs, man. Robbed dead pharaohs, man. That your kingdom would be a damn an exhibit, man. All right? You'll see the ancient pyramid ruins. All right? Nobody will ever fathom that the pharaohs would be mummified in some Edomite's museum, man. That was you couldn't fathom that. You could never fathom, all right. And then a few thousand years later, they walking around half naked in Africa, man. Or they're stripped economically of resources in Africa to utilize, man. All right. No, you can't even equate them to those ancient Egyptians. You can't fathom that they was the same people. So we narrowly look upon the sons of Ham like, this the man that ran the world, this the man that had all those pyramids, and they made all these movies about mummies and stuff. This the man? And he even lost his credit for that, because for a long time they were saying that was Ishmael, and it wasn't Ishmael. Same thing with the Persians, man. You can't fathom that an Iranian, a so-called Iranian, ran the world, man, with a long beard on his face, man. You can't fathom that those people that run some of these gas stations were a part of a kingdom that you had to answer to, man. They were their faces was on the world currency. You had to follow the decrees of their king. All right, you can't fathom that, man. You can't fathom that Ishmael had the whole world bowing to Allah, praying to a rock. You can't fathom that nigga at the gas station had you doing that, man. All right. So it's gonna come in a kingdom. You can't fathom that this man is gonna be walking on all fours, being beat with a stick. All right, and forced to pick out a watermelon. You can't. Our little ones they can't fathom like this man ran daddy. This man had daddy driving past the speed limit so he could make it to work on time. This man had daddy in slavery talking about some yes sir, no sir, master. This gonna be unfathomable. You can't fathom it, man. You know, but America's gonna be our ancient ruin, man. It's just how those pyramids were ancient relics of the past, and those Roman Colosseums, those torn, all right, Colosseums are just relics of the past. They were once the center of the universe, the center of the earth, not a relic of the past. Well, America's gonna be a big desert that's a relic of the past. It's gonna be Sodom and Gomorrah amplified, man. It's gonna be a big desert that's not gonna be inhabited by humans, by people, man. All right, is this the man that made the world to tremble? With that, I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. To the next time, shalom.